Hi, it's Dorothy Guining with Scrapbooking Quebec. This week I'm joining the Punched Out Thursday to Die For collaboration. We share ideas every Thursday on what to do with your punches and your dies. I'm starting my third year with this group, which is hosted by Kathy Fagel, and I post every 2 weeks. That's my plan for 2022 as well. And there is a playlist on my channel with 56 videos for this series at this point. The other ladies post every week, so be sure to check out their channels. I'll put links to all of them in the description box below. I'm going to start the year off with something simple and easy, and that's the layout you see on the screen. For material, I'm going to be using the Hip Kit Club's Wish Season collection from November 2021. And for tools, this is what I'm going to be using, and I'll talk more about them throughout the process, and I'll list everything I'm using in the description box below as well. So without further ado, let's get started. And I did very little preparation in advance. Basically, I selected my material and matted 2 photos. So I'm going to use that dotted paper as most of my foundation page. I did mat my 2 photos with that blue paper from that collection that I've selected, and I did pull in some scraps of paper as well. So I have that green paper as well as silver paper. That's going to be for embellishing that I create later on. And I also have a lined paper from Simple Stories, and that's going to be my journaling box. Of course, I have my basket of tools handy, and you're going to see me use them a little bit later on. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is prepare my foundation page. And what I'm going to do is basically use a border punch and punch along the top part of my page. And this is just a fun and quick way to step up a foundation page to make it look a little bit different, and it's very, very easy to do. So the border cartridge I'm using is from Creative Memories. You can see there it's just a bunch of kind of half circles, and that is a border maker system from Creative Memories. It uses cartridges and a guide, but you can use any border punch for this. Now what I'm doing is cutting down 2 narrow strips of paper. And these I'm cutting them at about 2 inches wide, but I am going to layer them up, and they are going to be adhered behind my foundation page, so not that much is going to be peeking out, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. Basically, I'm going to start by adhering the 2 narrow strips together so that there's about 3/4 to maybe half an inch of that blue peeking through. And then once I get those 2 adhered together, then what I'm going to do is adhere the foundation page on top of it, just so that that punched out border overlaps the floral paper, and you can kind of see the floral paper peeking through. But it definitely makes an interesting foundation page. You can use it with the design I'm using here right now, but you can use it with any page. It's just a fun little trick to use with your border punches. Now what I'm doing is putting the entire thing in my trimmer and trimming it down to 12 by 12. And now my canvas is no longer 12 by 12. It appears more narrow because of that border strip at the top of the page. I'm cutting down more strips of paper here. So I'm going to cut down 3 different strips of paper. I will put measurements on the screen. And what I'm doing is creating a shelf that's going to be placed towards the bottom of the page. And it's going to basically be where I place my photos, my journaling box, along with the title and some embellishing. I'm looking for a 3rd strip to place on top of it. And basically my selection is being made because I don't want to cut into any new pieces of paper. That's my criteria here, I guess. So I'm going to be creating this layout here with 3 pieces of paper, and that includes the foundation page. So I end up going with the flip side of that blue paper, which is kind of a pale blue plaid on white. It's quite subtle. Anyway, you're going to see what I do with it in a minute. I'm placing them one on top of the other, and then you're going to see how I stagger the photos across that shelf. I already have one planner page cut out, and I used a die from Elizabeth Craft Designs that I use all the time. I love this die. I use it for journaling. I use it for layering. I even use it to put photos on top of sometimes. What I'm doing now is cutting like a half a planner page because you're going to see in a moment, I'm just going to kind of layer them up. Once again, I'm using that pale blue plaid paper on white. I'm using it simply because I have it. And when I place it on the page, it's going to look really subtle and almost useless really. However, it does add a certain texture to the page, and when I do add my embellishing later on, there will be contrast, so you will actually see those layers a bit better anyway. So now I'm adhering this shelf to the page, and the only thoughts that are going through my mind when I'm doing this is that I don't want to layer them up centered one on top of the other. I want them a little bit off center, so when I place the blue on top of the floral, it's a bit off center, and the same thing for that pale plaid on top of the blue paper. I'm not going to adhere my photos or the journaling layers quite yet because I do want to play around with embellishing. So I'm getting out two dies here. One of them is from Stampin' Up. It's called Beautiful Boughs dies. Those are the branches. And the other one, I think it is from Cartabella, and I will list it in the description box below. But basically, it's 3 snowflake dies. Now, those branches, I find them super, super useful. They are from a Christmas collection. I use them a lot in December with Christmas pages, but it's the type of die set that I use year round because if you look at it, it's perfect for any walk in the woods or if you're camping, things like that. So you may want to think about that when you are putting away your Christmas dies and punches. Maybe some of them will work for other seasons. For the snowflakes there, for me, that's perfect. Those snowflake dies, which were inexpensive, just add a wintry touch if you live in a part of the world where it snows. Anyway, it's an inexpensive way to add a wintry touch to a page. I have 3 snowflakes there. That satisfies my snowflake need for tools. You can see I'm building 2 main embellishment clusters. One in the bottom right, and that's going to be my biggest embellishment cluster, and another one towards the top left. I started with those branches there. That's the biggest part or the most massive pieces within my embellishment clusters. Then I'm coming in with the snowflake dies. You can also see I have that title sheet out from that Hip Kit Club collection. So I selected the word Holly Jolly there. I know that's going to go in the bottom right somewhere. And now I'm going to adhere my photos along with those journaling layers and the branches to the page. And then what I'll do is I'll come in a bit later on with some finishing touches. When I go to adhere the branches, you're going to see I use an adhesive that I frequently use. It's called Sticky Specs by Ecstasy Crafts. I use it to adhere detailed die cuts to a page. So basically what you do is you put the detailed die cut on top of that yellow paper that has adhesive on it, and it picks up the adhesive. So it's just a great way to adhere things that are super, super detailed. So I adhere the branches in the bottom cluster. Now I'm working a bit on the top left cluster. I'm going to come in with that title at this point. I do pop that up on foam adhesive. And then what I'll do is I'll come in with those snowflakes. First, I'm tucking a few more branches in and around that title there. And when I cut out these snowflakes, you're going to see at the very end, I have a different paper. I have more of a shiny silver metallic. When I selected the paper for these snowflakes, I thought I was going to be using those alphas that you see in the top left, which are from the Hip Kit Club. I thought I was going to pair it with the title Holly Jolly, but you're going to see I don't end up doing it. So at the very end, I end up switching up those silver snowflakes that are on the page now because that paper was selected to coordinate with those alphas. I end up adding to my title, but I added it from the titles sheet there, that chipboard sheet, and it says December days. And I do like that pop of yellow there, which prompts me to want to put a bit of yellow in that cluster in the opposite corner. The obvious one was that little yellow circle there. I forget what it says. I can't read it on the screen right now, but it did work. However, I didn't like it. The circle part, I think, was bothering me. Because the circle was so different than all the other shapes, I felt it was attracting a lot of attention, and I want that cluster in the top left to be the secondary cluster. So I went and got some ephemera pieces. I have 2 packs here. One from this Wish Season collection from Pink Fresh, no, sorry, not from Pink Fresh Studio, from the Hip Kit Club. And the other one is tags from the Holiday Magic collection from Pink Fresh Studio. And that's what I ended up going with. You can see I've tucked 2 tags in there, a yellow one and a green one. And for some reason, it just felt better to me than that circle, which was attracting a lot of attention, or to my mind anyway. I end up off camera actually kind of playing around quite a bit with that cluster in the top left there. You can see maybe that I moved those tags over a little bit and kind of shrunk down the branches a little bit. I just wanted to make sure that cluster in the top left wasn't as big as the one in the bottom right, because I do like to have my embellishment clusters take up different visual weights. I also ended up adding one word, holidays, in the top right corner in green, just to add a subtle visual triangle. And you can also see there that I did switch up my snowflakes for a more blingy silver than the original one that I had selected to go with those alphas that I ended up not using. Also off camera, I did end up stamping words in the tabs of those 2 planner pages. But that's it, a super quick and easy layout. And again, what I would like to share with you again, the idea of using a border punch to punch the side of your foundation page and then layer it up with some printed paper. It really does add a nice effect, and it's super, super easy. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would be absolutely thrilled if you did. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very, very much. Don't forget to check out the other ladies. All their links are in the description box below. Have a fantastic day. Happy New Year, and I'll see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.